I know that there are people out there who say, how come nobody likes me? It just seems like people ignore me and they avoid me and they treat me like I'm odd and they call me names and I just don't fit in and I don't understand. I try to be a nice person. What is wrong with me? Or maybe you start to become bitter and you think there's something wrong with them. What kind of people would do this? And so today I want to talk to you, the person who feels like they just don't fit in, and give you some practical advice on how to have more friends. I talk a lot about setting your expectations and having realistic expectations. And the truth is it doesn't matter who you are, not everybody wants to be your friend. You can be super personable and you can even be popular already, and yet there are some people who just don't want to be your friend. And when I was thinking about this, okay, what would I do if I was trying to make a new friend? I thought, well, the first thing I would do is not go to already closed cliques. Don't be angry at them. People hang around people that they are most similar to. And so if they are a tight-knit group, just leave them alone. It's not a big deal. And so don't try to make friends with the unattainable. What you do need to look at is who is attainable and why do you want to be their friend. And so I would ask you to do a little bit of introspection and say, what type of friends do I want? And for me personally, when I sit back and say, what kind of friends do I want? I look at people that I have things in common with. Do they like to have amazingly deep conversations? That's a big deal for me because I don't want them to get bored quickly. I want to engage and delve in. And for me, that's a big deal. But to you, you might think, oh, please, I don't want to be a friend with somebody who just talks about philosophy and thoughts and the study of people. Maybe you love volleyball. Maybe you really like animals. Find what you like and sit back and say, who else do I know who has similar interests as I do? And so I would make a list. Let's just shoot for 3 to 5 people that are potential friend opportunities. And so as you make a list of people that you think you would get along with and that you would like to be their friend and you've seen some friendliness in them, I want you to list them down right now. The next thing I'm going to talk about is your physical appearance. Because first impressions matter. And your first impression is not what you say. Your first impression is how you present yourself. And my mom told me when I was a young girl, don't let them fool you, Melissa. Looks matter. And I know that is not politically correct, but it is absolutely true. You dress the part you want to play. If you want to be a CEO in a company, you look around and say, what do the CEOs in this company wear? Because your appropriateness for your peer scenario is extremely important, more than you know. And so I would take a look and say, do the friends that I've just listed, how do they dress? Are they sloppy? Do they take care of their appearance? Are they more tomboyish? Are they more country? Are they more preppy? And look at that situation and then say, if I want to step into that group, I'm not telling you to just be a follower, but be appropriate. And so blending in isn't necessarily a bad thing. You don't have to change who you are. You can still have your characteristic part of your personality, but be appropriate because you want to fit in with the group that you're going into. And so take care of your appearance. Look the absolutely best that you can. Do your hair, do your makeup, have a nice outfit, be appropriate. One of the biggest detriments that a person can have in regards to making friends is their basic small talk skills. There are people that I have to consciously be nice to. because they lack small talk skills. And so I think, okay, Melissa, make eye contact, smile, listen attentively, and then as soon as it is appropriate, run. This is just the truth. And I am the nice one here. There are people who will not give a person the time of day. They will walk to the other side of the building so they do not have to have any communications with the awkward person, because it's awkward. That's the whole reason. They don't want to have that awkward, uncomfortable moment in their life, and so they selfishly just avoid the person. And so it is highly important in developing relationships how to have small talk. And so let me just give you an example of small talk. I'm pretty extroverted. I go up to people all the time. So I turn around in church and I say, "Hi, my name's Melissa. I don't think that I remember your name. Have you been here for a long time in church, or are you new?" And so then they say, "Hi, my name is Joe, and I've been here for 3 years." And I'm like, 3 years? Really? That's amazing. And so then I ask them questions. "Well, I have never seen you before, so how long have you lived in the area? Oh, and where do you work?" And you'll notice that my conversation centers on them. I start asking questions because everybody likes to feel like they are interesting and they like to tell their story. Most people do. Introverts don't always, but generally speaking, when you ask people questions, they're so excited that somebody takes an interest in them that they will answer the questions, and then you take those answers and you move on. I was talking to somebody about how when you ask somebody, "Oh, and what type of things do you like?" and they say Star Wars, and you're like, "Oh, Star Wars, and what if you've never watched it in your life?" You know, you just feed on what they say. "Oh, really? Well, what got you interested in that?" And then you just act and react. You ask them a question, they answer, you find a positive, encouraging way to take that information and find out more about them. And so that is the basics of small talk. Sometimes it doesn't go into the depth of who they are. Sometimes it just rests on, "Isn't it beautiful out today? Gosh, I really love the sunshine." Or, "Wow, it's super foggy. This inversion is killing me. Wow, there's so much fire and smog. I'm just having a hard time breathing." You know, it's just very little bits. But the important thing about small talk is this. That's all it is small talk. You have about 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and then you move on. Nobody wants to feel like they're stuck. Don't be the person who won't shut up. As you get into a conversation with somebody that is a little bit longer than the 30-second to 2-minute small talk, this is very important. All of them are so important because they create awkwardness. Nobody wants to hear your sob story. If you have one, just don't tell it again. Nobody cares. I know that sounds uncaring, and maybe you have identified yourself with that sob story and you have never moved on, and maybe you have not developed a purpose, and every person you meet, you are telling your tale of bitterness and woe. Nobody cares. They might care the first time. And there are those few people who will listen because they're trying to help you. And maybe that is how you have first felt accepted in the world. Wow, this person, when I told them that I was struggling with this, they really stopped and listened and they tried to help me. And so because you felt a connection, you said, "This is it. This is how I relate to people. I am a victim and they will give to me, and I will have a connection and a relationship." And so you keep perpetuating your story, and then that person realizes, "Oh wait, you don't actually want to move on. You just don't know how to have relationships. You don't want to change." And so they slowly distance themselves from you. And so then you're like, "Oh, I don't have a person to really talk to anymore." and so I'm lonely. And then you find the next person and you tell them your sob story again. And then maybe they don't care, and so they just move on and they realize you're awkward. And so then you go and then somebody, some kind-hearted spirit will find you and you tell them your sob story, and it keeps going on and on. I'm telling you, bury your sob story. Give it to God. If you're bitter, you give that to God. Read as much as you can on bitterness and forgiveness, and you need to bury that story 6 feet under. Don't tell it again. Move on. If you want to have relationships, you have to put that behind you. So I've given you several points now, and I haven't even asked you to speak to a person yet. I'm just trying to help you build your skills. And so now you might be at a point to where you can reach out. And before you even take that next step, this is what I want you to see. What is your spiritual gift? What do you have to bring to the table? Are you an encourager? Are you a listener? I have a great friend who she says, and you know what I do? I just smile and nod. Oh. And she is the quiet person who lets the extrovert talk, and thank you for being that person. I love you. You are wonderful. But I'm just saying, what can you bring to the table? And if you're struggling with your value, I am going to do a video on that. Why do I struggle with my value, and why do I feel so worthless, and what do I have to bring to the table? But you need to do some introspection and say, what do I have to give? I am not going to be a taker in this relationship. And so find your generosity expertise, find what you're good at, and bring that to the table. Always give more in a relationship than what you get. This is the last point before you meet somebody. You need to have a networking personality. You need to create opportunities to where you can, in a non-threatening environment, interact with these people that you would like to be friends with. And so maybe you can have a get-together at your house, or maybe there's a youth group activity, or maybe there's a sport or some type of extracurricular activity that they are involved in. And so you need to kind of grow as a person and grow your interests beyond where you're at if you're finding that you don't have things in common with people or ways or opportunities to mingle. What you need to do is say, how can I create opportunities to mingle with people so that I can create conversation opportunities? And so now that you have done all this personal work and you have an opportunity, go introduce yourself. Maybe you're playing volleyball and you just say, hi, I'm Melissa. I was just wondering if I could join your game. And then when you're in the game, encourage people, smile, laugh, be appropriate. Don't be super overly competitive, and don't be the victim underdog. Just have a good time. That's it. A man that hath friends must show himself friendly. And so you have to learn those skills. These are excellent starting points to where you can make more friends, be less awkward, and just gradually grow into the skills of building relationships. If you have any more questions, please do comment below. I would love to help you out in your more specific area if you feel comfortable enough to ask. Have a good day.